Hi guys, welcome back to the Dance of Evolving. For those of you who frequent my channel, thank you so much in helping me build an awareness. I learn from everyone who I meet and encounter along this journey, and your support means so much to me. If you are new to my channel, Stan is with me here, my dog. We are a collective group of souls who are continually taking in new knowledge and insight in order to become our most sovereign selves and almost go into a state of consciousness where we are growing into our most sovereign self. So today I actually wanted to talk about something that is so important on this journey, and it's the awareness of what our ego is versus our higher self. And then I want to also eventually get into, once we have that awareness, how to integrate our ego and what we've learned about our ego and what we experience daily in order to be able to live at a state of higher self consciousness, which is so important. So let's go ahead and start with ego and actually what it is. And our ego started stepping up from the time that we have been old enough to process the stories and the beliefs and everything around us. And it's really our feeling of importance in this, our feeling of importance in the 3D, our identity that we've taken on, our beliefs and morals. And it's really the part of the mind that is between consciousness and unconsciousness. So a lot of time our subconscious is driven. That's why our subconscious is driven by our ego. And if we don't have an awareness of it, we are no longer in control of the steering wheel. It's how we test reality. Our ego is. It's truly our source of our personal identity. And it's really the view that we've taken on about ourselves over the years, from childhood. It is our sense of achievement, and so if our ego, we don't have an awareness of our ego, our values can be totally off and can drive the way that we live life. All the other things that we feel that have taken us to a certain level or lack of being at that level, and what we think achievement is. It is a universal trait that we all have. So no one is completely out of being in the ego. We're always going to have our ego, and awareness of that and being able to integrate it is so important. I've set the mood here today to talk about this. Part of what I do to get my ego in check is I have some tea. I do drink it out of a straw because I don't like it to stain my teeth. And then I've got a candle lit here and some sage. I cleared the energy, so I am ready to go with this. And of course, I have Sweet Stan, my buddy here, laying beside me. So let's go ahead and get into now what the higher self is. Our higher self is eternal. It is a state of consciousness. It is intelligent. When we are in our higher self, it's our authentic self. We step into our true being, who we are. You feel this alignment. It's truly unspeakable. Like when we talk about unspeakable joy, it comes in your higher state, in your higher self. You have an awareness that you have a mind and a body, but that your higher self, your soul, is not your mind and your body. But yet you see how your ego and, the integration of the vessel that we're in they can all be wonderful tools to help us move in this higher state of consciousness and to create a huge ripple effect on the collective community. I like to think, and this is beautiful, and I heard this, your higher self is it's the inseparable ray of the universe in oneself. It's beautiful. The God above you is more than within you when you are stepping into your higher self. And a lot of times, some of us accidentally figure this out by going through a super dark phase in our life, or a dark night where our soul is like almost forced to wake up. And at these times, I've stated before that we are in the school of life, and a lot of us can go a while. I mean, I could speak for myself. I went for a while before I really stepped into knowing what my higher self was. So I can speak to you guys from experience, truly. And I feel like this is where it shifts from things happening to you when you're in a victim mode, where, you know, easily your former self would sit and complain about things and what people have done to you, to realizing, oh my goodness, I am part of this, and I am part of these exchanges of energies, and I see things not more than even from a different perspective. You see it in a different light, in a spiritual way. You see it as acceptance of all, but knowing your worth and stepping into that. It a lot of times we have these shifts, these really dark times that happen, and it's in line with the cosmic plan for us. It truly does happen for us. It gets us back on our higher track, and we start to then walk in tracks of love instead of fear. Usually during this dark time, the victim, aka the person experiencing it at the time before we shift from victim mode, can feel super lonely and draw in, and it forces us to look within, to then guide ourselves to a sense of spirituality that we have never experienced before. And then during that time, we decide, okay, are we going to step back into our ego, or are we going to learn and have an awareness of our ego and integrate it with our higher self? And this is where it goes beyond the me, what's happening to me. This is, you know, and it's all about me. I think that selfishness is a poverty of the heart. So it's where you shift from feeling that poverty in your heart to feeling love within, and you step into your higher self more and more each day. So now I'd like to shift into, now that we've talked about what the ego is versus the higher self, how do we actually step into this dance of evolving into understanding our ego and integrating it, because we're going to experience our ego every day, but integrating what we realize and are aware of about our ego to moving into a state of consciousness. It's even beyond meditating each day. It's living in a state of consciousness of knowing the potential of your higher self and how your ego can integrate and help you get there. So I've been thinking about, how do we actually tame our ego? How do we use our ego as a tool for integration to step into this higher path? And it's awareness of knowing what it really feels like to be on the higher path. Because you could sit there and say, oh, I've gone through a dark night and I've experienced dark times and I've gotten through them, and put that on your list of what makes you so awesome, and then looking down at other people. Well, you haven't integrated it then, because let's actually first talk about what it's not. When you are your higher self, you are not judging, you are not talking about others, you are not a victim. There's no pointing fingers. I like to think of exchanges of energies as truly agreements. And when you catch yourself in a ping pong game of poison or shooting darts of poison, you automatically stop, because you're constantly asking yourself, am I acting in love or am I acting in fear? And what your higher self is you will feel that you are you're moving into your true self, your original state of who you were when you came onto this planet. You feel this, it's a separation, but a wholeness within you. And you know that who you are is not who your personality had formed throughout your whole life. That, you know, it could be an integration, a part of it, but your personality that includes all your stories and all of your beliefs that you had growing up, it no longer defines you when you're in your higher self and aware of your ego and integrating it. You start to feel one with the universe too when you're in your higher self. You don't see yourself as separate from the universe. We are all energy, and you exchange energy all day, every day, and that awareness is powerful. when you are in your higher self, life starts flowing. You notice that. You don't even have to know everything, because your higher self knows that your mind doesn't really understand much at all, but yet can be used with intuition to help guide you. The lesser mundane activities are just distracting to you. And it's a continual dance, guys, to know what it is and what it's not, to know what your ego is and what your higher self is, and how you can dance back and forth with life lessons. If you find that your personality takes over and you continue to experience dark times and dark nights, it'll bring us back, and you might even have other lessons. But knowing that life is truly a school, and that every experience, every soul, because guys, we are in crowds every day, but the eyes are truly windows of the soul. Every soul, regardless of what path they're on, they're mirroring, or they're in your life to teach you something. And knowing your boundaries and how to exchange energies and what agreements, and it catapults you to really a true lesson of self-love, and how you can have love within. With this dance, you learn, as you go the highs and lows in life, you further adapt to maintain your higher self. And I've said it and I'll say it again, and I couldn't say this before this year because I didn't know this, but when I take something personal, that is a sign for me. Oh, goodness, I'm going back into my ego. What is the situation here to teach me? What am I mirroring in this situation that I need to learn? What do I need to take ownership of? How can I look within? It's not about the other person, it's about me. And you start to realize when you're in your higher self that your one responsibility is to stay in tune with who you are, because that is what truly causes the ripple effect on this planet. It's almost like you line up with your higher self, and you are continually an example to humanity and to everyone else trying to make it home, regardless if they're doing you wrong or if they're magnificent in your life. You see that we are all equals trying to make it home. It's a funny thing that when you start to cultivate more love and acceptance and compassion for yourself, and you truly understand your ego and how to rise above the experiences that you've been having, you start to see the whole world, everyone, with compassion and kindness and acceptance of where they are, but doesn't mean you need to tolerate that energy in your space, because you build a self-awareness of how to stay true with yourself. It almost is like, what's meant for me is going to be there. What's not is not. Rejection, I think, is truly God's protection. You no longer need the external validations of things and people, and you don't overgive yourself, because like my ego will have me step in when I should be more aware of myself and try to help or rescue people, and overgive myself to the point of depleting. And I have gained an awareness that that doesn't prove my worth. My worth actually shows up in an authentic way when I'm aware of when to contribute, when to step away. I'm aware with my intuition and in how to contribute to every moment in that day. And when I don't, I have compassion on myself, and it's a lesson learned. It's a true integration, and it's a beautiful thing to experience. So I encourage you, if you are experiencing this at all in your life, you've been called. I mean, you've been called to truly make a difference, not just on this planet, but in the spiritual 5D realm. It's like you're forging a pathway in the shift from the 3D to the 5D. There is a spiritual realm around us that we do not see with our eyes, and our brain can't understand. However, we have a soul that has a deep knowing. And if we start to feel knocked down, or if we have low moments, it's truly an actual dance. Some days you'll feel like you're riding the waves, and if it's effortless, coming into different, paths that you can tell you're supposed to be on. You meet people that you're supposed to meet with, and then you also, sweet Stan, Um, some days if you feel knocked down, like you can barely even move, because sometimes we are taking in energies and we're giving energies, and to have an awareness when it's something's off, it's truly knowing when to step away. When we do this, we are breaking the chains, generational traumas, guys, patterns, karmic energies. It is wow. It's a dance of trusting the process and having an awareness and a conscious state of being. I find a lot of times um, focusing on gratitude, it will shift things from being done to you to for you. You know, to constantly think, to seeing others with compassion because you have your love for yourself. And it's the whole we, not me versus you. And even when you see someone's off, you're going to feel, you will feel when energies do not align. And you know that your job is just to transmit light to the collective community, to the world. I mean, my dogs, even right here, they're energy exchanges. We have energy going back and forth between us. And knowing that there's no compromise for you to go back to the paths that you were on, but yet you can integrate those paths and what you've learned to these higher states. And there's no competition. You don't lower your vibration to get ahead or to people please. You are standing in your strength. So yeah, my mom would always talk about the kingdom of love. And I was thinking it's like you sit on a throne of love and you surrender to the old so the new can enter. You have an acceptance for all and where they are, but you stand in your truth with love and strength to fulfill your purpose of being that beacon of light. It's like, whew, the light that you give off will send ease and peace and prosperity and abundance to the community, to everyone around you. And it changes the way that they think, even subconsciously, when they see you as an example, to shift from that lack and comparison game and you know, the survival mode to fulfillment. So if you feel like a pushback, if you're triggered, another way to integrate the ego is knowing that these things, anytime you feel a dis-ease, that is a chance for healing. And instead of being a victim, it can be like, what is this trying to teach me? It could be the smallest thing, like my car got towed when I felt like it shouldn't have. Instead of me being a victim, I turn that day into a lesson, and you know, how I'm not sure why I'm guided where I am and what happens, and the people who I've met through that, it was beautiful. So just knowing your value and that you are creating energy that's exuding into the world each day. Wow, you're like, you are truly a minister when you step into this. And the conscious mind sometimes can't grasp the deeper levels of what's going on in the spirit realm, but to have a self-appreciation and a standard for yourself and standing in your light, and you have this energetic state that you're cultivating within yourself, it will truly cause a ripple effect to everyone who is around you, which is something that not a lot of people are able to do. People will feel your energy when you walk into a place, but yet you know how to protect your energy. So I just encourage you, as you find old patterns that don't serve you, if you want to know what they are, I like to make a list, whether in my head or in my journal, what's working, what's not working. What's not working are formed by these old patterns that don't serve you. They're formed by beliefs that you've taken on that don't serve you. And digging deep and shining a light into that will liberate you. So just trusting the process and knowing that you don't have to understand everything, surrendering to this process and showing up for yourself, and knowing that what's showing up right now should be showing up, and what's not yet showing up, trusting in that divine timing to let it unfold. Our mind will try to have an extreme workout each day to figure everything out. And sometimes instead of figuring it out, what is happening in our mind and around us is meant to be experienced. And so to not ignore thoughts, all thoughts are fine, but not to ignore them and see what are they teaching us? What are our thoughts teaching us? Because we are not our thoughts. And being able to rise above those and reclaim our voice and in our heart, our true heart within, but to stand in power and live with an open heart. So I encourage you to fully come into harmony with yourself by this dance of integrating your ego and your higher self. And your intuition will be highly activated. And I'm experiencing it. Some days are easier than others. But one thing I know for sure that I feel that I did not feel before is a true, true love within. And it's a love that can only come from our higher source, from God. And then it goes beyond loving ourselves. It goes into a feeling love for life and accepting with love where people are, and knowing that it's not our job to fix them because our worth isn't tied around that. It's our job to fix ourselves and to continually heal. I know I said I'll end with this. Just think about if we could see everyone and what was going on in their inner state, on their outer body. The world could be a mental hospital, and we just pretend like everything's fine and normal. And we're just throwing these poison darts at each other when we should be standing in our truth, reclaiming our voice, reclaiming our heart, and standing in our power to be that beacon of light. And you're the only beacon of the light within you. No one else has that. And so to stand in that truth and to find it, it's not easy, guys. It takes time. And to know yourself, you got to spend time with yourself, and you have to be willing to face the things that we don't like about ourselves and forgive them and have compassion, because that will reflect how we see the world. So I love you all. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions or comments or anything you'd like me to focus on in the future, go ahead and you can comment below. Also, if you haven't subscribed yet and you like this content, go ahead and hit that button. And it does help if you share these videos, and even, participate in any of the comments. I'm here for you guys. Let me know if there's anything I can do. I am growing each week, so who knows what I'll discover by next week. And if I make mistakes, what I can learn from them. So peace. I hope everybody has a good night, and let's continue to evolve and love into our most sovereign selves.